Samantha Harper didn't look like someone who owned anything extraordinary. Her long brown coat was 3 winters old. Her handbag had a tiny tear near the handle. Her shoes, though clean, bore the wear of many sidewalks. She walked into the grand marble-floored building of Southville National Bank like a ghost drifting into a world that didn't recognize her presence. "Excuse me," she said gently at the reception desk. "I'd like to speak to the branch manager." The young receptionist, barely out of college, raised her brows, clearly unimpressed. She sized Samantha up in a single glance, then smiled that professional, practiced smile. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's urgent. I'm here regarding account ownership. It's complicated. Please have a seat." "I'll check," the receptionist replied and picked up the phone. Samantha noticed the way the woman's lips twitched while she whispered to someone on the other end, giving her a look that mixed disbelief and amusement. A few minutes later, a man in a sleek navy blue suit appeared. His shoes were so polished they reflected the chandelier lights. His nameplate read, "Mr. Blake, branch manager." "I'm told you have some questions about an account," he asked. "Yes," Samantha said. "I believe I have partial ownership of an old account here, under the Harper Group. It should be in my name as well. Samantha Harper." Blake stared at her for a second too long, then motioned for her to follow him into his office. He offered her a seat, then pulled up the details on his computer. Within seconds, his expression changed from formal curiosity to thinly veiled mockery. "Mrs. Harper," he said, leaning back, "the Harper Group account you're referring to is owned by Mr. Elias Harper, billionaire investor, founder. You're saying you have ownership of that?" "Yes," she said calmly. "I helped start it. We were partners before we were married. There should be paperwork reflecting that." Blake let out a short laugh before catching himself. "I don't see any such documents here. Are you sure you're not confused? Maybe you're thinking of a different Harper." Samantha's voice didn't waver. "No, I'm not confused. I signed the original investment agreement. We agreed it would be a joint venture, 50-50. The documents must have been updated without my knowledge." Blake narrowed his eyes, then buzzed for security. "I think it's time you left. We can't have people walking in here making outrageous claims." The security guard, a broad man with a kind face, walked in, looking uncomfortable. He seemed to hesitate, not wanting to grab her forcefully. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Samantha said, standing up slowly. "I just want what's rightfully mine." As she walked toward the exit, escorted gently by the guard, she heard the receptionist giggle. Another banker whispered, "What's next? She'll say she owns half of Manhattan." They all laughed. She walked out with her head held high. What no one in that room knew was that Samantha Harper had been the silent half of her husband's empire. She'd chosen anonymity, chosen to let Elias take the front seat in the world of finance. While he navigated Wall Street, she raised their kids, studied market trends from home, and managed their initial accounts. The original investment that birthed Harper Group came from an inheritance left to her by her grandmother. But over the years, paperwork shifted. Lawyers came and went, and she caught up in motherhood and trust, never questioned anything. Until last week, when she found the original partnership agreement in an old folder buried in their attic. Signed by both of them. She hadn't told Elias she was going to the bank. She wanted to see how the world treated a woman who didn't wear her wealth on her sleeve. She got her answer. 2 hours later, the black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up in front of Southville National Bank. The driver stepped out, opened the rear door, and out came Elias Harper, wearing a charcoal coat over a tailored gray suit. His presence commanded attention. Bank employees who had just laughed at Samantha stood up, frozen. Elias didn't glance at them. He walked straight to the manager's office, followed by a man holding a leather folder. The door swung open. "Mr. Blake," Elias said. The manager shot to his feet. "Mr. Harper, what an honor." "Sit down," Elias said, voice icy. "I believe you met my wife this morning." Blake turned pale. I didn't know. She came here, calmly, respectfully, to inquire about an account that she helped create. And you laughed at her. You had her escorted out. Do you know how many people in this city have tried to steal or scam their way into this business? She didn't. She had proof. You never even asked to see it." I didn't recognize her, sir," Blake stammered. "She didn't look." "Didn't look like what?" Elias snapped. Like someone worthy of respect. The man behind Elias handed the folder to Blake. Inside it were the original partnership documents. Signatures. Dates. Proof. Samantha owns 50% of Harper Group. She always has. You'll correct your records immediately. And while you're at it, review your staff's training on how to treat people, especially women. Blake nodded quickly, sweat forming on his brow. Elias stepped back into the hall. The receptionist from earlier shrank behind her desk. The security guard stood silently, ashamed. Samantha walked back in, now beside her husband. No fancy clothes. No makeover. Just her. The same woman. But now, everyone looked at her differently. I'm not here to humiliate anyone, Samantha said quietly. But the world needs to learn. Power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it walks in quietly, asking for justice. She turned to leave, her husband by her side. That moment, just a few seconds long, changed everything. News spread fast. A woman, dressed simply, had walked into one of the most prestigious banks in the city and demanded her rights. She was laughed at, but she left as half-owner of a billion-dollar empire. The internet loved it. Videos of Elias's confrontation with the manager, captured by someone at the bank, went viral. Hashtags trended. Hashtag respect every woman. Hashtag Samantha Harper. Hashtag silently powerful. But Samantha didn't care about any of that. All she wanted was the truth to stand. She knew there were countless women like her, silent partners in empires, invisible to the world. She hoped her story would be a small spark of change. That evening, she sat on the porch of their country home, sipping tea with Elias. You didn't tell me you were going to the bank, he said. I needed to see how people treat someone who looks ordinary. He took her hand. You've never been ordinary. She smiled. Neither has the truth. It just waits patiently, until someone's ready to see it. And that was how the world finally met Samantha Harper, not as the wife of a billionaire, but as the woman who built an empire, and walked in to claim it without needing a crown.